back to it.
Hello, everybody. This is our Geo 307 final project. So my name is McLean Reagan. I'm working with Max Buxbaum here. I feel like the main basis behind our project was essentially figuring out where we wanted to test different water fountains, not necessarily only based on topography, but also just spacing out on campus in general. We looked at Peabody, we looked at King, we looked at the Rec, we looked at Maple, just some of the biggest places to not only fill your water bottle, just also with like huge student traffic in general. The basis of our project, well, we basically just got to explore Miami's campus, kind of find out how accurate these water fountains were, whether it was an LK or not, with their filter monitor system. So throughout our study, we took a couple days and we looked at a couple different water fountains around campus. We looked at about 10. When we used our 16-in-1 test strips, we were ultimately at first originally kind of confused what we wanted to test for until we found out what stood out to us the most. Some of these being the lead in the drinking fountains or the ammonia chloride or the total alkalinity. And if you can look at the graphs in the top right, you can see the ones that really stood out to us the most. I know Irvin Hall had really high amounts of ammonia chloride, whereas the King Library basement was really the only one that we, to our best judgment, found out that there was lead.
How might this compare to professional studies? The influence of topography while researching, we are able to find evidence that topography may affect water quality. The main reason behind this, dispersion of pollutants. Unfortunately, the difference between Oxford and Zhang River in China is the extreme difference between elevation changes, but at least our data did not come out to be the exact same measurements, and that's by Ye and from 2009. Lead in drinking water. A major issue with our study was although we wanted to use a majority of LK water fountains with filters, we were unable to find one at the library. Ironically, we were able to find an article about the effectiveness of LK water fountains in terms of removing lead from the water. One of the hopes from this project was to be able to find areas for cause of concern, and from this LK article, upgrading to a filtered model may be a viable solution for schools and other institutions who want to remove lead from their drinking water.
So when we look at necessarily the conclusion of our project, it's pretty obvious that there's a lot higher elevation towards the library and towards that part of campus opposed to Peabody and down towards South Campus. Not saying that that is necessarily the reason that the library basement was really the only water fountain that we found lead in. However, it could be a cause of concern, and I think that this project also ultimately highlights just how unsafe drinking water can be without necessarily really even realizing that.
Conclusion. As we concluded our project, we understand the color of the test strips compared to the key was based off our best judgment. When we look over the chart we created, high amounts of lead from King Library can lead to health risks, and we can conclude that the most likely reason that lead is able to get in this water is due to a corrosion of lead pipes. As we are curious, this is the only spot on campus we look over at ammonia chloride. High concentration, amounts of over 5 mgl of ammonia chloride is typically from fecal contamination that could lead to water-borne illness. It's no wonder that this comes from one of the older halls on campus, Irvin Hall. In particular, spots on campus, we obviously had expectations for lower quality water because of the topography. However, we can conclude that the difference in water quality is most likely from the different ages of buildings on campus.
Again, as we look at this project as a whole, I think my partner and I are very glad to have gotten to explore campus in a way that we typically wouldn't have. One of the things for me is like I know I always fill my water bottle at the Rec, or when I used to go to Maple Street, I'd always bring my water bottle there. And this could be information that could be spread to campus one way or another, because I do feel like it's important for everybody to know, ultimately. But this concludes our project. We had a great time working on it, and we hope everybody learned something. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.